Hi and welcome to Diabetes TV. Today we're going to talk about the glycemic index or the GI, and I know we've been GI'd to death, but we just want to demystify GI.
Yeah, it's important to understand. So what is the GI? It's a common question from my clients. It's basically how fast the food we eat becomes glucose in our bloodstream.
Yeah.
It's a ranking from sort of 1 or 0 to 100. Anything under 55 is considered low GI. Anything 55 to 69 is medium, and anything over 70 is considered high GI. So something that's low GI will go into your glucose will go into your bloodstream at a slower rate than something that is higher GI.
And the reason what we want is lower GI foods so that the release of glucose is quite slow. So that puts less pressure on our insulin regulation and also reduces how high the insulin levels go. It also helps sustain our energy during the day, because we've all seen kids at parties, scoff down the lollies, run around like crazy people, and then just bang. And often we get that 3 p.m. slump, which is tend to be a drop in glucose levels. So we want to avoid big fluctuations, and the way we can do that is with low GI foods.
So while it's really important, one of the problems with the GI, Adam, that my clients talk to me about is I can't remember the numbers. I don't know what they are.
Is this high? Is this low?
Is it low? How do I tell? And while it is important to know, we thought we'd come up with just a few general guidelines to help you make easy decisions when you're out there and shopping.
Yeah, we've just sort of developed some simple rules that help people get through this. Now, rule number one is if it's hard to chew, it tends to be lower GI. So things like vegetables that we have to actually chew, muesli compared to sort of sugary cereals, we have to actually chew and break them down. Multigrain bread compared to white bread. You put white bread on your tongue, it'll dissolve after a period of time. So if we actually have to chew and break it down, tends to be low GI. Because one of the reasons why our food is such high GI these days is because of the meal press. We can break down grain so much. So that's rule number one.
Yep.
Rule number two is if it's dark in colour, it tends to be lower GI.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a basic example. Potato, medium to high GI, compared to a sweet potato, which is far lower in its GI. So if you look at the colour of those two, the sweet potato is much darker in colour than the white potato. Same with white bread, brown bread.
Or multigrain or even rye bread.
Yeah, there's a couple of exceptions. Certainly vegetables are exceptions, but rice. Now, standard white rice is quite high. Brown rice tends to be a little bit lower, but lower than all of them is smart rice, like a Dungara rice or a basmati rice.
Yeah.
So, that rule works most of the time, but there are a few exceptions, such as rice.
Yeah.
So that's rule number two.
So rule number three is, it used to have a Fraser, it's something that a vegetarian would eat. The more you add protein into your diet, the lower the GI. So things like, obviously meat, but generally things like chickpeas and nuts also have a lower GI.
Yeah, so if you have a sandwich, like a salad sandwich, and you add something to that sandwich from something that used to have a face, like meat or dairy, so you might put some ham or cheese on it, it's going to lower the GI of that meal.
Yeah.
And things like, so say if you had a stir fry, by adding some chickpeas or some nuts to that stir fry, you would actually lower the GI of that meal. So rule number three is if it used to have a face or it came from a vegetarian, if you put that in a meal, it'll lower the GI of it.
And I think that really raises another point, and that is that we don't want to get too lost in knowing the exact numbers of every single individual item, because often we don't just eat, a potato, it'll be part of a meal.
Yeah.
So to consider the whole meal as well. But there's one other very important rule, Adam.
And rule number four is if it comes with a cartoon on the cover or it has a toy inside, it tends to be low GI. So we've got a good Cocoa Pops here. High GI, quite sugary. Anything that tends to be heavily processed and comes out of a packet
will be high GI.
Tends to be high GI. Yeah. So we want to avoid those things, and it's a bit of a no-brainer.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, look, I hope that's helped you understand the GI a little bit better and help you make some clearer and some easier choices. Come visit us at the website, theglucoseclub.com.au, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks.